Hi, friends. I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, Sunset Bow Tarot. I am here today with some special guests who are,
Hi, I'm Julie, and my channel is Peekaboorose.
Hi, I'm Heather, and my channel is Heather Carter.
and we decided to get together and do a joint video today because we spent some time working on a project last month all together that we had a really, really great time doing. And we just decided that we really wanted to make a video about it. And yes, what we did is we made a BTS tarot deck. Obviously, this may potentially be a bit of a niche interest in the tarot community, but for those of us who are both tarot readers and army potentially, or future army, we're not trying to like specifically recruit people, but maybe a little bit. We thought we would do a video on it and talk a little bit about it and the process of doing it and how much fun we had. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, if you've been living under a rock and did not know that there was a massive song that came out on Friday that broke like every Spotify and YouTube record, BTS is a band from South Korea. They are a 7-member boy band, multi-genre. There's 3 rappers, there's 4 vocalists, they're great dancers, and their music is very full of surprising depth, actually, and really heartfelt messages. And they were actually shockingly easy to make a tarot deck out of because they deal with a lot of really sort of like weighty themes and archetypes in their music and in their visuals. And yeah, they're freaking awesome.
They're really good looking.
Oh,
They are.
I forgot that part. They're super
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie, for keeping us on track. In terms of how we all discovered BTS, what happened is I ran across them last fall, which obviously was during the pandemic, and it was a very, very rough time. And I don't even remember where I heard this song, but I heard this like super catchy song and was like, huh, I wonder what that is. I literally went and Googled the lyrics, I'm in the stars tonight and I'm going to light it up like dynamite. And then found some YouTube videos of BTS performing this song. And I have a long history with boy bands is the thing. I was a massive One Direction fan. I was like a massive Jonas Brothers fan. I mean, I love boy bands. Like I just have a thing about boy bands. But after One Direction, I had sort of like honestly consciously tried to avoid BTS in a way because I was sort of like, oh, One Direction's over and I'll never love again or whatever. But anyway, I finally watched this video of BTS and then went, oh no, they're so adorable. And then watched some more videos of BTS and went, oh no, they're so talented. And then watched some of their like interviews and variety shows and stuff and went, oh no, they're so lovable. And I was like screwed forever. So that is how I discovered BTS. So I don't know if you guys want to tell a little bit about how you did.
I guess I'll go. I knew about BTS for a few years now, and I was very resistant because I thought that they were just another K-pop band. And no offense to anybody who loves K-pop, it wasn't my particular thing. One song I found catchy, which was "Fake Love." It somehow came up on my YouTube, and I was like, this is kind of catchy. But I still resisted. I'm like, yeah, but it's all recorded. I bet you they couldn't sing it for shit if they tried to like sing it live and whatever. And then I think it was early this year, I think I heard Dynamite and thought it was catchy. And then, with the TV on, when Matt would be watching TV, there was this commercial that would constantly be playing, which was like a Samsung phone commercial or something. And in the background, there was this catchy tune. And I'm like, I really like that. What is that? And I'd look over and it's like, oh, it's BTS. So I was like, these guys are kind of catchy. And so then on YouTube, I think it was a cover of, was it Fix You or the song? No, it was Fix You. It was Fix You. They were doing an MTV Unplugged session, and I clicked on it because that's one of my favorite Coldplay songs. And I clicked on it and I was like, wow, these guys are actually singing live and they're pretty fucking amazing. And So then, and then at this point, I knew that Sarah was Army, and I was like, so I didn't know how far Army she was, but I was just like, oh, have you seen this this cover of Fix You, and where have I been? I didn't even know MTV Unplugged was still a thing and whatever. And she's like, oh yes, and now let me send you 5,000 other links to get you started on your journey towards BTS. And it kind of just, she's like, may I recommend this, and I watched all of it pretty much, and that's how my course began with BTS, which was like, yes, it was all lovely and amazing. So
For me, it was much later because it was March. I think the very end of March, where Julie, you did a video about, maybe it was your update video or something, and you mentioned that you've been talking a lot to Sarah about BTS and what you've been doing, and then you mentioned who your bias was, and I was like, I've got serious FOMO. I need to get in on this BTS that's going. So I messaged you both.
yes.
And was like, and basically said that I need to get in on this BTS. I'm just gonna YouTube them. And in the time that it took me to find Dynamite on YouTube, Sarah had sent me 3 links.
Yeah.
And then you can't help it. I mean, it's the way YouTube's designed, isn't it? So you watch one video and then it's like, oh, by the way, you like this one, you should watch this one and this one and this one and this one. And like,
right.
Later, I'm going, oh, I really should go to bed now.
Yeah.
And then we had our group chat where Sarah, like, I think it was 4 days in a row where Sarah shared videos with us. And then on 5, it got to almost the end of the day, and we might have both messaged to say, Sarah, where's our video today?
Yeah. Yeah, where's our daily homework? Like,
and, yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who, when I like something, I can't just like something. I have to go balls to the walls obsessed. It's just the way that my brain works. So, and then YouTube is recommending all of this stuff. Sarah's sending me this stuff, and then I'm reading all of these different things on my own, and it is impossible. This is a strong statement, but I'm going to make it anyway. It is impossible to listen to their music and read about these guys and not end up falling in love with them. It's just impossible because they are
exactly.
Yeah,
they're so infectious. You can tell that their camaraderie is so sincere and deep rooted. It just seems so, dare I say the word, authentic. And it just, and they're talented. They write their own music, they produce, they dance, they sing live. That's really important to me. That to me was amazing, that they actually sang live and they sang so well, you know.
And they also, I think what really works with them is that they are not a pop band. They're not a pop band. They do pop music, but they also do music that has hip hop, R&B, jazz. You know, you hear so much other stuff in their songs, and unless you don't like any kind of music at all, you must be able to find one BTS song that you like, because it's so varied. Even if you hate every other, I guarantee you look long enough, you'll find one.
And they've evolved over the years from more of a hip hop group through to doing a lot more in this sort of pop and EDM kind of vein, in addition to still doing hip hop. And they have 3 genuinely incredibly talented rappers, like actually genuinely incredibly talented, legit rappers in the group. You know, so they still do great hip hop, but then there's all of this other just fun pop music, and it's great fun to listen to. And I think the other really important thing to know about BTS that I think a lot of people don't realize is that when it comes to their messages and what they're trying to say with their music, I mean, again, they're writing a lot of their own music. They're writing a lot of their own lyrics, and they're very heavily involved in the process of creating that music. And, you know, they do these like multi-album concept cycles where it'll be 3 albums in a row that will be about, you know, Jungian psychology, or 3 albums in a row that are all about a message of self-love and how you can't have an authentic relationship unless you've learned to love yourself first. And they have their Youth Cycle, which is a series of albums that are all about youth and about coming of age. And there's this really intricate storyline woven throughout all of those albums, and the visuals and videos and music, and everything that's going on with those. It's called Bangtan Universe. I'm sure somebody's written a doctoral dissertation about it because it's literally that complicated. And there's just, once you scratch the surface, you realize how much there is going on with BTS. Like, there is so much there. And that is one of the reasons why it was like I could have never made a One Direction tarot deck. Like, they were a fun band, and they were delightful guys, and their music was fun, catchy rock pop music. With BTS, it's like, oh, you start thinking about, the temperance card, and you think of like 8 different things that you can find in their catalog that could be a temperance card. It's like, they have just so much going on. Stuff that's inspired by literature, and stuff that's inspired by, they just have so many wide ranging influences. And so there's really a lot there to work with, which I think is how this whole thing ended up happening.
Me as well. I think and it was funny because I didn't really realize until yesterday when I was talking to my friend about our tarot deck and also BTS, and I cried when I was telling her about it, because I was like, this, especially the last 12 months or so for everyone, has been so hard. And I think having this thing that with such great music, but also something that I can share with 2 people that I have such a good relationship with, has probably kept me sane, especially this year when we went in the UK, went back into a ridiculously hard lockdown. And, it's not over the top to say that it has been almost life-saving,
Oh yeah, I can totally identify because, I've been going through some tough things this year. And certainly this project was sanity for me, even though it might have seemed more like insanity with the rate at which I was diving into the project. But it was truly the thing that kind of kept me afloat when kind of in my offline world, things were just crumbling, and there was a lot of difficulty. But it was just more than, it was more than just having fun. There's a lot more than that for me, this project. Yeah.
ARMY really kind of exploded, I feel like, a lot during the pandemic, because they are just such a joyful band with so many positive messages. And they're so, even in just in life, if you watch, they have like a million variety shows and reality shows, and you get so much content from them. They do live streams all the time, and they're just like genuinely really fun, funny, chaotic, like laughing all the time, just like always seeming like they're having a good time kind of dudes. And it's so fun and infectious, like you said, Julie. And for me especially, they came out with an album at the end of last year in November called B, which was specifically a response album to the pandemic, and all of the music on the album was themed around the pandemic. And I remember the first time I listened to it, it took me literally through the journey of all of the emotions I had during the pandemic. Like, there's these songs that are sort of going from, sort of a kind of feeling stuck in place, to feeling really sad and depressed, to feeling overworked and overwhelmed, to missing people that you haven't seen in a long time, all the way through to the last song on the album being Dynamite, which is just like get up and dance, like party anthem, and every time I listened to the album, I would listen to it always in order from start to finish, because it literally took me through this journey of feeling all of the emotions that I had felt during the pandemic and leaving me feeling better on the other side of it. And it was like magical. So and this project that we did this last month was so much freaking fun. And I am so afraid that like my employer will someday find out about this, because I literally didn't do any work for like a solid week at work. I was just literally, this is
Oh yeah.
great, because I literally spent all day just like finding photos for our tarot deck. So hopefully my boss never sees this video. But and it fully was like the most fun I've had, not just during the pandemic, but in like a very, very, very long time.
Mhm.
Now that we have like wax on about BTS and how much we love them. And anybody who's not into BTS is probably like, oh wow, these girls have some serious issues. And anybody who is into BTS is like, girl, same. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, because if you're ARMY, you get it. Like you get it. Once you get into BTS, there's no such thing I feel like as a casual BTS fan. You either are like totally like unaware of what they do, or else you are like, this is the most magical band that's ever existed in the history of humankind. Like, I feel like there's two settings basically. But anyway, so I figured maybe we could talk a little bit about how we came up with the idea for the deck, and I'm going to let Julie take it away on that.
So basically, I had done some video. I cannot remember what the video was. And Sarah, you had commented on it, and I responded to your comment. And at the end of my response, I think I just kind of tacked on, oh yeah, and by the way, we should do a BTS tarot deck or something like that. It was very off the cuff. It had nothing to do with the video. It had really nothing to do with Sarah's original comment, but I was so in the throes of BTS and they were like all I could think about. And I was just like, oh, we need to make a BTS deck, you know, joking and yet not joking and like not wanting to seem like completely out of my mind. So it's just kind of like couched as a joke. But then within minutes, Sarah had IM'd me and she's like, okay, so for majors, we have the Fool as the entire band. We have the Magician as Jungkook. I mean, literally it was just like she had the whole lineup. And I was like, oh, this could be amazing. I think it was when Heather also became ARMY, and then we were all talking about it. And then I think one of us was just like, oh yeah, we still have that deck to make.
Yeah. I think it was you. I think it was fully
me.
And then I was like, hell yeah. And then the more we started talking about it, the more we were like, okay, we're actually serious about this. And you know, I started like finding pictures and sending them over. And started.
And we you had like a Google folder so that you shared with all of us so that we could all take a look at things. And I know that originally our plan was to just do screen grabs of the majors, the happies, and the court cards, and then we would do the minor arcanas in pip style, just because for ease, or so we thought, ease of not having to find so many screen grabs of BTS. And I remember, we had some concepts in mind, but in terms of execution, it was turning out to be a little more difficult for us to decide and to also make that, to keep that continuity with the majors that we had found in the court cards. And so, but and I remember Sarah was just like, well, I could try to find more screen grabs. And I'm like, no, that would be just way too much work. 40 more screen grabs, that's a lot. But then at the end of the day, we had nothing to worry about because Sarah found like 400 more additional screen grabs, when we ultimately decided. Sarah's like, okay, so just hear me out. I feel like I could totally find additional images for the minors. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, as long as like you're fine with that, because it worked out just fine. Yeah, we had plenty to choose from. Yeah. So
I love how you thought that I might be sad about having to like
well, it just seemed like a lot of work.
I have to look at pictures of BTS. It's just what I do like all day anyway. So our pips ended up. I mean, we loved our ideas for the pips. Like what we were going to use as the pip symbols, but it ended up being like, because none of us are really graphic designers, right? It ended up being like very difficult actually to figure out how to design pips using the symbols we had. And then, like there's so much BTS content in the world that you can find a photo of BTS doing basically anything. And so it actually ended up being easy enough to find photos for the minors that Julie was like, okay, seriously, you have to stop sending me pictures because
we would think we were done. We would be like, okay, and then Sarah would be like, okay, just hear me out. What about this image? Tone it down.
It's like, yeah, basically Heather was the one to be like, okay, girls, you need to chill. You need to chill out just a little bit.
Exactly.
This one's fine. This one is fine. Yeah.
Heather was like our total voice of reason, and also just
Yes.
like ideas person, and
Yes.
like, you know, if we were ever stumped on something, or you know, or else,
Indecisive. Yeah.
or needed somebody to tell us to go to bed, Heather
Exactly. Yeah.
Heather was there.
Exactly.
He was like almost sort of project wrangler. Well,
Yeah, basically.
you know, and Heather was like, okay,
Let's calm down. Let's bring it back in.
How we can do this in a way that makes sense, you know, like, yeah.
Exactly. Like, no, these 2 images are fine. We don't need 10 more. It's fine.
There. Okay, I'm going to show this just so that people can see like how insane this is, because we obviously made a lot of alternate images for various cards, and Julie and Heather both ordered normal decks from Make Plain.
Yeah.
Sarah was unable to choose between alternate images for many, many of the cards, and ended up with a deck that is thick.
Like,
yeah.
So,
this is like, this is ours.
Alternate cards.
And that's Sarah's Franken deck. I was just like,
Sarah ended up ordering 145 total cards from MakePlayingCards.com.
Exactly.
Because I needed alternates of like
everything.
Anyway.
Yes, everything.
And yes. Julie is the one who took all of the images and created the graphic design and layout of all of the cards, and made every single one of those freaking cards. And by the way, like, this isn't even all of the ones that I asked Julie to make. Like, there are cards that she made that I didn't even get printed. So we basically worked her to death for like,
it was pretty funny, because Sarah'd be like, okay, so I just put like 5 more images in the folder, and like, and it's totally fine if you don't use them, but then after this, I won't put any more images. I'm done, I swear. And it's like, you're so cute. You're so cute. So every time I emptied a folder, I'd be like, oh, I'm done. And then I go back and it's like, this is a better one. Here, use this one instead. Here's another alternate. Oh, this is cool. Like, it was like, okay.
Count up how many cards we ended up with in total, because
I think, well, I did kind of a quick count, and it was 200 plus. I think well over 200 plus.
I mean, even for the fact that like one of them is a title card, so there's that. There is a title card, and we have 7 additional cards that are not in a traditional tarot deck. So it's actually an 85 card deck, 86 with the title card.
Right, and we had
who's not
and alternates of many. Even though we were trying to have fun and not be too perfectionist, I think the more and more we got into the project, it's like, oh, but we could find a higher res of this, and I don't like, the layout, and I think this might get cut off, and so it was good to have
what we all wanted at the end of it, and what started off as just something to do for a bit of fun to keep us busy. I think very quickly it became we all want to walk away from this with a workable tarot deck.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's absolutely where we got to. But I think that played a huge part in a lot of the trying different cards and different layouts and stuff, was we wanted it to be a deck that we could actually work with.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and the images that were found, and the songs, the music videos that they were derived from, just all the meaning. I mean, they just worked so well. It's like, oh wow! And at one point, Sarah's like, "Yeah, I think I might have started a guidebook." We're like, "What?"
And
like, that's amazing.
It's like it's a genuine book.
It is a legit,
genuine printed book.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote a guidebook.
I think if you're not full on army, the backs might be less knowable than some of the images. BT21 maybe. So, Sarah, do you want to talk a bit about who BT21 are?
Oh, yeah. So when we were trying to figure out, what to do for backs for the deck, so BTS, for those of you who aren't aware, have done this collaboration with basically like an animation company. It's sort of like the South Korean equivalent of like Sanrio in Japan, and they make lots of little characters and things. And so BTS did a collab with this company where each of them came up with their own sort of cartoon character to represent them. And the group of characters, there's actually in total 8 characters, because there's one for each of the 7 members, and then there's an 8th character who basically represents Army. And they're so cute, and so we decided to use this pattern of the BT21 characters on the back of our cards because they're just stinking adorable.
These are the images I went with. Mm-hmm. Sarah, I think you're going to show some more anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. I'll do a full walkthrough for anybody who's insane enough to blather on about how we like picked all of these various images and why we picked them and why we have different cards represented in different ways. So
so feel free to just stop me and start talking about cards as I'm flicking through. Sarah, do either of you want to talk about this one? Because we had a bit of a conversation about these cards.
Yes.
For the lovers, didn't we?
Yes. Because you were hesitant.
I was very hesitant. So we did pick Jimin and Taeyong, or we picked Jimin and V as the lovers card. And I want to make very, very clear that this is not because we believe they are actual lovers. There is no like weird tin hat stuff going on here. No like weird shippy stuff. Like nobody's saying that they are lovers in real life. Just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. Like we basically decided because of the way that their friendship is really gets at the meaning of the lovers in really good ways, in terms of the fact that they're very different, but they're still friends, like very close friends. And they have a lot of references to, they have actually a duet song about their friendship that has lots of references to like duality and the differences between them. And so it made for a really good lovers card, and we decided to use it because we were really only making this deck for ourselves. But that was like my one fear, was that people were going to think that I was like a V-Men tin hat, and I'm not. So just making sure that everybody knows that. Heather is a sugar bias, so
yes,
we'll see a lot.
Understandably,
yeah. Well, very understand. He is like one of my most frequent bias records, so I'm like, I would never argue. Never.
Yeah, and you can see that when you go through my deck. Is there are decks where we had choices of different members to pick. I pick every time.
I picked, and you guys know that I picked Tay every time. Like, I think that for your 3 of Swords, you both picked, was it Jimin? I forget which one. The one where he's
Jin.
Is it Jin?
Yeah.
Jin.
That is my
3 of Swords.
My favorite card in the whole deck.
And I think I'm the only one that went with Tay because he's hot. Like, yeah. Oh, yes, you did get both.
I got both because
you did get both, but like I did not. I only got one, and I chose. And in terms of kind of symbolism, I do think that one, the one that Heather was showing, it makes more sense. But just the hotness factor. I mean, literally, there was no deep deliberation when it came to choosing some of these images. It's like, oh, hot. Okay, yeah, no, this is the one we're gonna hotness.
3 of Swords,
symbolic.
Right?
Yeah. So
this was the first card, I think, when we were doing the cards and we were talking about it, where I had I had a really visceral reaction to the card, but in a good way. Do you know what I mean? Like I had it wasn't a pleasant emotion, because the 3 of Swords isn't a pleasant emotion, but it was one card where I was really strongly like, wow, I can feel that in that card.
And that image is from the Fake Love video. There's this whole part of the video where Jin has this sort of glass box, and there's a flower inside of it, and obviously it's like very representative of a heart. And there's a point in the video where he's trying to protect this glass box, like the room around him is imploding, and he's trying to protect this glass box from the violence of the implosion. And it just like it's very 3 of Swords. So I actually do really love that one, but also because I am also a V bias, and I also love the Singularity video. I have one of each.
Because you don't have this death card, do you? But you have this card for another. You have another card, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. So we, when I actually have that same card as strength.
Mm.
And it could work for both. I mean, I think, we wanted the Black Swan video to represent death because Black Swan literally speaks to um, a change in your life of what your passions are as being like a death. Like it references the quote from Martha Graham that basically says, "A dancer dies twice, and their first death is when they stop dancing." Basically, and that quote is like directly referenced in the song, and so the idea of like use this, the song itself is about loss of passion for music and creative burnout as feeling like death. And so it seemed like that was a really good death card. So, we have a lot of images from the Black Swan video or like associated with Black Swan that we're using as death cards. And that what Heather is using is from the Black Swan video. So it's a great death image. But then I ended up using it as strength because we decided to have Suga or Yoongi be our strength card specifically because basically all of his work is very focused on confronting inner demons, and he really speaks a lot about things like depression, about things like anger, about really struggling with some of the emotions and like mental health difficulties and things that have gone on with him. And he's really open about all of that in the music that he makes, and so he made a really good strength card as well because of that, because of strength. That interpretation of strength is being about wrestling with the difficult, like the beast inside of you, and he's very direct about that concept in a lot of his lyrics. And so that image of him reaching out to touch his own shadow also really, to me, made sense of strength as well, because he's literally assimilating or like reaching out to his own difficult inner self and really trying to integrate that. So this is like why it was so ultimately kind of easy to make a BTS tarot deck, is because they deal with all these weighty themes.
This is the death that I chose ultimately. I did use Heather's death as my strength, and then I went with this one mainly because, I mean, well, again, they're hot, but also because, white is a common color to wear when there is a death, as a way of mourning. That white is a common color to wear. So, and that's what I immediately thought of when I saw them all wearing white like that. And also they're hot. So that's why I chose that one.
And sort of sitting on the edge of an
yeah, sitting on the, exactly. So
I'll start with the happy squirrel, because that's obviously where kind of it comes from, is the Simpsons episode where Lisa has her fortune told and they get the happy squirrel, and that is like the in tarot joke, isn't it? But then we've obviously given each of them a happy card.
Happy card, yeah.
Presented by different emojis, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
is that right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is especially on Twitter, but this is something that fans use, and also Big Hit, well, formerly Big Hit, even the members themselves use these animals and animal emoji to represent the different members. And it's especially useful on Twitter because it helps you get around character limits, right? Like you don't have to type out their whole name. You can just use one animal emoji to represent each member.
This one is a bit different as well, though, isn't it? Because we chose to go with Happy Alpaca for Jin, which
this is the one that
Yeah. Usually people use a hamster emoji for Jin on Twitter and elsewhere, which like you can't really find a good picture of like Jin with a hamster. I know why people use it, and they use it because his cute face kind of resembles a hamster a little bit, especially when he's eating. But Jin, it's true. That's the reason.
I didn't know that. See, learning something every day.
but Jin also loves alpacas, and his BT21 character is named RJ, and RJ is an alpaca. RJ is a little white character here, and there are a ton of pictures of Jin with alpaca stuffed toys and stuff like that. So we decided to make Jin the happy alpaca instead of the happy hamster, which is a little, it's not formally adhering to the emoji rule, but good enough. So that's what we did.
Fine, because it's our deck. We can do whatever the hell we want.
We can do what we want. And there's an alpaca emoji now, so like we just used it. So there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we've got Jimin.
Mm-hmm. I chose that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Super
cute. It was
cute.
the cute one, I think.
So stinking cute.
And then
Cute.
RM with his koala.
Happy koala.
Yep.
My favorite, obviously.
That's the one that I chose that one too.
There
Yeah.
must have been about 20 of these because Sarah and Julie.
Yeah.
And we did go, okay, like this might be controversial because Taeyang has been a bear emoji and he has been a tiger emoji. And there is actually rather, like, there's a whole thing where there are people who are team bear and people who are team emoji. And I am team bear. Or team tiger, team bear or team tiger, not team emoji. I don't know what I'm saying. So I am team bear. Personally, I like to use a bear emoji for Taeyang. So we made him a happy bear, not a happy tiger. Anybody who's team tiger, I apologize. But again, this deck is press. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I mean, I have to say, I didn't know that about the tiger. I think I did because we talked about it, but I would not have known that had we not talked about it when we were making the deck.
Yes.
And having listened to the song Winter Bear yesterday, I like it. Just Bear makes sense to me. That song is fully
agreed,
amazing.
Cute.
So it just makes sense for me, anyway.
Exactly. Personally, Taeyang is bear to me, so it just
JK.
Happy bunny.
Choose this one.
Oh, see, I like that one because I want one of those hats. But
yeah, that's why I chose. I was like, I want that hat.
But this one just makes me laugh every time.
That one is funny too.
It's so funny. Oh my god. So Heather showed her favorite card. What's your favorite card, Julie?
My favorite? Oh my gosh, that's really hard. There's so many. I mean, so I do like the Page of Wands with Tay and the little wand. I do like that. A lot of it's just V, like looking really pretty. I'm not gonna lie. I did also love Yoongi as the King of Swords.
My sword suit, I'm just looking at that, and my
badass
is almost completely Yoongi.
Yoongi, yeah. Not surprising. Empress was another.
Julie picked out the Empress card.
Yeah.
And it's so
pretty. And this Queen of Swords, Jimin again. So I guess I want to say, Tay takes up a lot, but Jimin and Yoongi as well. This one, I love this one. Like where they're all like holding hands together.
Oh my god.
And Tay with his perm.
Yeah. Julie loves a Tay perm.
So I went for the other one of the same image, but it's slightly different.
Yeah. They're more active in working to whatever it is you're doing. Yeah. This one I also liked because he loves his little bonsai plant, and so that was really cute of RM. So I mean, really, I could just go on and on. I would show you my whole deck. Basically.
I found another one that I really love, the Four of Wands. This one I love.
Yes.
Let me tell you how much time I spent, because there's like so many pictures of BTS like having a party or celebrating somebody's birthday, and I don't even know how much time trying to find one specifically with 4 candles on the cake. Like that was my whole goal in life. And then as it turned out, it's a super adorable picture. But yeah, spent a lot of time.
Yes. And I do have the alternate tower that Sarah specifically requested. She's like, I must have this one, just so you know.
We have one serious tower that's like from the On video, and then we have a non-serious tower that is J-Hope like doing a J-Hope reaction in a run.
Yes, which is really fitting, honestly. That's why I got it, because I was like, actually, this is what I would look like in a tower moment. So Sarah worked very diligently to make sure 8 bracelets, because there were 7, and then she photoshopped.
Yeah, so
it looks really good.
J-Hope did this series, like this was last year during the pandemic. He did this series of live streams where he was making these individual beaded bracelets for each member. And then he made an 8th one for Army. So he like there's all these live streams where he's like diligently making these beaded bracelets, and he ended up making 8 total bracelets. And I was like, 8 of Pentacles. Oh my God, it's so perfect. But I could not find a picture with all 8 bracelets. And I was losing my mind. And finally I was like, screw it. I'm photoshopping the 8th bracelet in. And that's what I did. So he's got it around his wrist in the picture. Yeah. I'm a crazy person. And I didn't even know how to Photoshop before I did this. So I figured it out for the card.
Exactly. And it looks great. Looks great.
Losing my mind.
We definitely were pretty manic about it. Because, since Heather's in across the pond, she would have to go to sleep, and Sarah and I would still be up like doing shit like for this deck, and then Heather would wake up to just a huge like thread of things that she would have to sift through and review. Like, oh, we'll ask Heather when she wakes up. Heather, wake up right now. We need to ask you this. We need your opinion on this.
Tell us what to do.
I was even answering questions where I was like, I don't even know what question I'm supposed to be answering anymore, because it's in the middle. Or you chase me and go, well, what did you think about that question we asked you? I was like, what question? Where was it?
How does it read for you guys?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
really good.
This is one of the things I was saying to my friend yesterday when we were talking about it, because she doesn't know who BTS are. So I was telling her a bit about that. But then I was saying, because I think because we're all tarot people, I don't know what word I was going to use then, because we're all tarot people anyway, we wanted a usable deck. We've worked really hard to make sure that the images match the meanings of the cards, and they really do. And I think you could, I think I could give this to my friend who also reads tarot and who knows nothing about BTS, and she would be able to read with this deck.
Yeah.
Easily.
Definitely. It was a great read. I've done spreads with it. I've asked it any number of questions across topics, and it reads so fluidly and also make me happy. It just makes me happy. I mean, there was once I just did like a kind of like a tarot before bed, and I just pulled like a 3-card spread just to kind of round out my day. And it was like Jimin as, the 9 of Cups, and then Jimin as like the 4, it was like Jimin. I was like, oh my God, this makes me so happy. Like this just, it was like, oh my goodness. It's even like the tough cards, you can't help but, smile, even if you do get the Tower. Yeah. Even if you do get the 10 of Swords and you got Jin there holding the dove, it's like, it's still okay, because it's just that kind of deck. So, but it's a legit deck. It's legit. So we made this on Make Plain cards, and we decided to go with the square shape, just for ease of, finding screen grabs that might be portrait as opposed to landscape. We just decided to go with square, and, to make it all one direction. Because I do not like decks that have the mixing. I'm just not into that. So, and I think this is my first and only, no, that's not true. I do have other square Lennies, but in terms of tarot, this is my first and only square deck. And I think it turned out so well.
Speaking of which, we should say something about that, about the deck. Like the thing about this deck, right? Like we did make this for ourselves. We don't own any of the images in this deck. Like we made it on Make Playing cards. We are actually a little nervous that it might get rejected for copyright, because obviously we own none of these images. We made it for ourselves. It is not something that is up for sale. We've had lots of conversations about various things that we could do with this concept in the future, but this deck as it is made today, like we cannot sell this. So just so you guys know, not that I'm like suggesting that somebody's going to watch this video and be like, oh, I must have your deck, but like we can't actually sell it. So
right,
just making sure everybody knows that. So anyway, that was our hopefully not too long oral history of how we created the BTS tarot deck. Whoever is still watching at this point, and I thank you for your forbearance. I know this was extremely self-indulgent, but we just had so much fun doing this that we wanted to get together and talk about it, and it was just such a fun project. So you guys have any parting words that you want to add?
Ora hair, a purple you.
I really can't do that.
So anyway, so thanks so much for joining us. Like I said, I'm going to do a separate video with more of a top-down kind of walkthrough. Again, purely self-indulgent, just because I want to yammer about why we picked the different cards even more so than we already did in this video. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye. I'm Heather.
And I'm Julie.
Say what channels you're from. This is so awkward. It's so awkward with other people on the video.
You think we've done this before numerous times?
Oh, I am here today with some special guests who are.
Hi, I'm Julie. All right, here we go again. Take two.
All right. By the time we get this, get
Okay.
started, like start another Zoom because 45 minutes will have gone by.
Take five. Take three. Okay.
Edit some of this and make a blooper reel at the end.